right, so we're going to go over the narrative assignment. As a heads up, this is a very open assignment, and oftentimes it is a very frustrating assignment for students who say, just tell me what you want, I'll do the thing, just tell me what you want. And then I go, well, what do you want? It's like, that's not what I'm asking. I get that. That's how grad school was. I hated it. But I learned a lot. And the point of it was to trust myself, and I want you to trust yourself. And I also don't want to tell you what I want to see. I want you to tell me what I need to see about you, because what the narrative is the final culminating experience of your experiences and your identity. That's like the whole point. And you're going to notice I've done some scaffolding, giving you little things where you can talk about your experiences and how they've influenced you in some way, because that's what the narrative assignment is. So real quick, the narrative assignment is literally a project that you're going to create that shows your understanding of your experience. It's going to have a bit of literacy. We'll talk about that in a second. And your identity and the influence it's had over you as a person. And anything that's influenced you as a person influences your composition. That's just how it is. Your writing changes as you change. And so while I could ask you, how did it change you as a composer? Which, I kind of want you to maybe think about. It changes you as a person, and that ultimately changes who you are as a writer. And I really want you to be cognizant of that, because as you experience things, as your values change, as your beliefs change, then potentially your writing does as well. As you compose things, you might compose things differently. You become more educated and more lyrical, maybe more literate and more eloquent. Maybe the more experience you have in writing. This is why when y'all are like, oh, she's always bitching about AI, because I want you to see your growth as a writer and how you have become this beautiful being from your experiences and what you can create with those experiences. Not what a machine can, but what you can. Because in the end, that's what matters, right? We are soul, machines are not. And I want you to have soul, and I want you to share your soul with me. That being the case, I'm going to give you a little bit of how to for this narrative. First and foremost, you need to figure out what your experience is, because I want you to write about an experience, right? You've already kind of done that with your values, like what experience, has changed you. We've already kind of done that. So you have that piece. But the next piece is understanding how you can take that experience and put it into something. And that is a little bit of understanding a type of literacy. What's the literacy? Well, it could be anything. Maybe something you're not quite really literate in yet. Poetry. Maybe you don't really know poetry very well. Maybe you want to take your experience and turn it into some types of poems. Maybe your experience is, maybe you don't really have a lot of literacy in music. Maybe you want to do something with that. Or maybe you do have literacy in music and want to show off your talents. You could do that too. I know you hate this right now because it's not saying what you want me to say, which is I can't, because you have to tell me how your experiences have influenced you to become who you are, which then becomes the composer that you are. So, first thing you want to do is you need to answer some questions. And the question is, what experiences in your life do you think have been most influenced, that you've been most influenced by, that you feel would be a great start to this narrative assignment? And then I list a whole bunch of shit. Just read that, right? So what experience do you think has influenced you? And we talked about how certain, experiences have influenced your values. Well, then that's kind of a part of this. You don't have to use that. You could use anything. I'd like you to be open to anything. I'll talk about my experience, which was getting really, really sick. It was a handful of things. I got real sick from COVID. It was bad, y'all. It was bad. But it burned my neurons a little bit. And then I got into a car wreck and it jacked that up. So what ended up happening is I really got this vestibular, it was bad to the point where my nervous system, I couldn't walk. Like my system was so tight. I would just be like stuck in a hallway. Like I can't move. It was the weirdest thing. And it was keeping me from doing my job. So anyway, this experience, the reason why I bring this up is this experience changed me completely in every aspect, like molecularly, physically, emotionally, mentally, like it changed my whole world, in a good way. And it's weird to say, and it's like that country song, "Live Like You're Dying." It's kind of like that, right? You like when you get real sick, this happens. It's changed my values. It's changed the way I communicate with people, the way I understand people. So that would probably be an experience that I would use for this narrative. You can take a look at how, when I got sick, the things that ended up happening. I ended up, the husband didn't understand, unfortunately, and things started to fall apart. So I lost, in being really, really sick, I got a divorce. But then I started getting better, and then all of a sudden I understood a level of spirituality. Y'all, it got weird, but it got weird in a good way. And I would write about that in my narrative. You can take a look at the details that I put in the assignment here for you. Now, say that is what something I use for my experience, and you can use whatever you want. Again, I put a whole list. You're just going to throw a bunch of things at the wall, right, and see if they stick. And that's what that first narrative project idea is you're just throwing, like, can I do this? And I'm like, yeah, that's a great experience. I really like that idea. Like, let's go with it. What do you want to do with it? And then you tell me, what would you like to do with this experience? How would you like to share it? And that's the part that's the hardest for students. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Exactly. So what you're going to do is, you already got your experience. We already know it happened. It's a thing right here. I'm going to set it right there. We need to take that and somehow share it with the world. That's not just an essay. Like we're going to do essays. I don't want essays. I want you to try and figure out a creative way where you can share this experience with others. And the reason why I have you do it this way is the impact. It's the impact. A million people can read, all the stories in the world, but when you do something really creative or unique or different, it just impacts us differently. And if you take my English 11 class, it's called the Gestalt principle, where in which you create something that people go, oh, okay, it's not quite the Gestalt principle, but it leans in that general direction where it's something unique enough where people go, oh, wait, what? That's so cool. And it sticks with them. Not just the experience, but the way in which you told it. So for me, I'm a teacher. If I were to take my experience and put it out there, maybe I would, create a, what do you call it? Like if I were to do something, sorry, I got to scroll down here. Maybe I'll make a lesson plan. And in that lesson plan, I'll include all the journal rights that I had to do to get through some of these emotionally heavy things. And maybe that would be my project. I do this big, huge lesson plan. I put all the journal rights, and then maybe throw some other things in there, and create this thing. Like, right? So it's not an essay, but it's me creating something bigger and applying it. And it's creative. It's showing my literacy. Like, yeah, my literacy is being a teacher. And so maybe I would use that as my my vehicle or the avenue in which I share my experience with it. I could do all kinds of stuff. I could do a podcast with somebody. I play the uke. Maybe I could do like a uke song. All kinds of different ways in which I want to share my experience with you. That's the goal with this narrative. And again, you might be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to read essays. I'm going to be honest with you. I read essays all the time. I'm going to read your final essay, which is probably going to be up to like a lot of pages. They get real big. And I want to have fun, and I want you to have fun too. And when we talk about growth and fixed mindset, I need you to have a growth mindset in this. And while you might feel you're not creative, trust this process. Get uncomfortable. Be willing to try something. Get angry about it. There's actually science behind anger that is a big, huge motivator. This is why when you go through a breakup, you are usually in the best shape of your life because you're so angry. You're at the gym, you're like punching bags and sitting up, and you're like working till it hurts, right? So anyway, if you're mad about the project, yeah, use that as a motivation to get you somewhere on this project. And so the first thing you're going to do is give me your ideas. Just throw stuff out there, man. Just try. Who knows, right? Like, the world is your oyster on this. I just want you to have fun. I want to have fun. I want to have fun. God damn it. Excuse my language. Right? Like, hey, say the world is burning. Let's just have fun. Let's put out there as humans something that, something that is just so cool. I want to see what you come up with. Trust this process, okay? Again, on this one, the biggest thing also is to include maybe your understanding as to how it has impacted you in your values. This experience, did it change your values? Did it change you as a mindset? Did you become more of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset during this process? You know, how did it change you maybe emotionally? You know, what's your literacy in all this now? Did, like, for me as a teacher, my literacy in compassion got bigger. I was like, oh, wow, I'm starting to recognize those who have invisible illnesses. Like, I get it now. Because you couldn't see what I was dealing with under a microscope. And it was really hard for Western medicine to be like, what do we do with this? Here, take some steroids. And I'm like, for like 3 days cleaning the house. Like, you know, and so we had to find alternatives, and that's okay. I changed my values. I changed a lot of different things in order to get healthy. What is your experience? What did it change in you? That's the goal here. Okay. So anyway, once you figure out what your experiences are, kind of understand maybe how it changed your values, and then put it into a project. Project can be whatever you want. I'm telling you, it is so hard to fail this and short of not doing it. If you don't do this assignment, that's the way you fail. Or if you're being a smartass maybe, or if you use Chat GPT to do it, those are ways of failing this assignment. But aside from that, if you could trust that you would not fail this assignment, if you just try your best at whatever, that's what I want you to do. Whatever. You can't bug this up. You really can't. So go for it, try it, and see what happens. Again, this is our culminating experience of experience and identity, a culminating project of the unit on experience and identity. So think of it in that way. And you can see already as you go through this class that you can trust me, that you will do fine. And I just want you to reach out if you have questions. You can do this. I'm very excited to see what you come up with. So go for it. And read everything. Read everything. This might not have covered it. I don't need to talk anymore, so go for it.